everyone. I'm Ann Wyatt, Vice President, Client Success for HealthFitness and host of the HealthFitness Podcast. This is our very first episode. I am so excited that you're going to be on this journey with us. But I will tell you, this is a very new space for us. So please have patience as we try to work through things and figure it all out. The goal of this podcast, though, is so simple. We are trying to bring you, our audience, conversations with industry experts, including some of our colleagues as well, to talk about fitness and wellness strategies, talk about innovative ideas, and then also provide you with some practical tips to help you along the way. So whether you are managing a corporate or community fitness or wellness program, you are an industry follower, we think you're going to walk away with some new ideas. So what's so great this time, though, is that this podcast launch actually coincides with Health Fitness's 50th anniversary. So to celebrate both milestones, we thought it'd be a lot of fun to take a look back at the trends that influenced the health and fitness industry over the years, but then also look forward to the trends we're keeping an eye on right now. So get comfortable, get curious, and let's jump right in. So I'd like to introduce to you Tim Peters. Tim is a Senior Director of Client Strategy and Growth with Health Fitness. We lovingly call him a CSG. So welcome, Tim.
Thanks, Ann. Yeah, I look forward to being on the podcast today. My background's exercise physiology and public health. I've been around, you talk about trends. Yeah, I've been around with some trends. I've been in the industry for about 30 years now. And working with a lot of different organizations, a lot of different companies in improving the health and well-being of their population. So thanks for having me today, Ann.
Yeah, absolutely. Tim, tell us a little bit about your role as a CSG, this client strategy and growth. What are you doing with clients when you're in that role?
Yeah, sure. And within the CSG role or client growth and strategy role, I'm working back with clients to help identify growth strategies. Where's the industry going? What are some trends? What are some new ideas that may be launched at some of our other clients and bringing that together, but making sure that we're understanding what the goal and what the purpose of their program is. And so it really is a collaborative opportunity to be able to work with these organizations.
Right. Well, I think then with you telling me the number of years you've been working with us, which I knew already, of course, but when you combine the two of us, we have over 60 years of experience. So we have seen trends come and grow, and I think we're about ready to have a good time. So let's jump in.
Great.
All right. So let's dial it back. We're going to go back to the trends. And I think if you look back, start back with the 70s, and that was the rise of aerobics. People were jogging. I'll use my air quote fingers. They were jogging, and I can picture it now. They had the headband, they had the tube socks with the stripes on them. They had the whole look, right? But I also think it was the start of what we know as the fitness culture today, right? So that's then. Right now, though, we're seeing things like wearable technology. We see personalized wellness programs. We're seeing customizable, integrated features on just about every piece of fitness equipment that you can come across. So times have certainly changed. So I want to ask you, though, Tim, what are your impressions from back in the day? Like, what are the trends you remember? What talk about that for us?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I really go back to probably my first memory or some of my best memories around fitness. And that's way back in the 70s at the YMCA. We would have family night on Friday nights. And I remember swimming with my mom and playing basketball with my dad. Of course, there was a track around the basketball court that is always, within gyms and facilities. And I think it's ironic that even now we have a lot of clients that still offer those type of family activities, So at that time, I look at it and it was fitness, but it was also a lot about having fun, the social, the connectedness piece of it. So that's some of my early memories of the 70s. But yeah, you get into the 80s
comes around,
and think
right?
about. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you get to the 80s and you think about some of the different influencers, that what they call influencers now,
Right.
The Jane
they were personalities
Fondas,
back then, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And so I feel like it's one of those that things that are old have become new again in some respect with some of the trends.
Yeah, I was thinking about some of the personalities back in the day. Richard Simmons, rest in peace. We just lost him last year. But then Arnold Schwarzenegger, and then of course the the Saturday Night Live skits that came out of that with Hans and Franz, where
Sure.
we want to
Hans and
pump
Franz.
you up,
Yeah.
right?
Pump you up. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think back in the day too, with the trends, there was also um, infomercials. I remember the Gut Buster, the Nordic Track
Yeah.
was things we used to see.
Yeah.
So we've
Yeah.
definitely seen a ton back in our time.
Yes. Yeah. We've seen
Yeah.
a lot over the last 50 years or the last 30 or so years that we've been in the industry. No doubt about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll tell you, we did a little fun poll on LinkedIn with Health Fitness, and we looked at the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and we did the poll asked what were the favorite trends, and we gave them a couple of choices. And so
Okay.
the
Yeah.
winners, 70s was, do you know?
No.
Jazzercise. So
Oh no.
that takes
Yeah.
us
I'm
back.
sorry. I missed that one.
You missed that one. How about I know you had to do some in the 80s. How about the step aerobics?
Step aerobics, sure. With the risers. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the winner. And then in the 90s, we had Tybo with Billy Blanks. So that was
Okay.
so
Yeah.
popular. And I always remember there's a quote that's been attributed to Billy Blanks, and um, it was discipline is remembering what matters most, not what matters now. And so I
Okay.
always think of that when I'm getting ready to have a snack.
Nice.
So I'm like, all right, do I
Yeah.
really need this? So, well, why don't we talk a little bit about some of the trends that are shaping us as we look to the future? And I know we have
Sure.
maybe 3 or 4 or 5 of them that are really catching our eye. And so I want to get
Yeah.
your perspective on what are you seeing with the clients that you work with? What do you just know from the industry as well? Because I know you've experienced it all. So I want to start though with recovery, because we're learning that recovery is something that is turning out to be just as important as the workout itself anymore. And it's really the last, I'd say 1 or 2 years gained so much more popularity. What are you seeing in that space, Tim? And what do we need to keep our eye on?
Yeah, and that's such a great point when you talk about recovery, and you're right. I think we've seen a surgence of that over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But we've always known that recovery was important. We talk about for years about post stretch, and stretching yourselves out. But I think it's really exciting to understand and to see where this part of the field is going. When you think about, we started out with saunas way back in the day, but now you hear so much about hydromassage therapy. You think about cryotherapy. That's a big piece now. Compression therapy. I mean, these are items that really help with the active recovery piece of it.
Yeah.
And then we add on some of the nutritional aspects. That's important as well. And we can't forget about those. We spend so much time on the front end of thinking about training and what are we eating to get ready to perform or to work out. So it is important on the back end that we are identifying what these other trends are. But one thing I think is really exciting about recovery is that it's much more available. It's much more accessible than it's ever used to be, both in a commercial setting, at a personal setting. Just recently I was at a retail store and they had their individual ice baths that were on sale and they were really affordable, So I think it's something that we as an industry, we have to understand more about that. How do we provide these opportunities for our participants to make sure that they can feel better faster and it's a part of their overall workout routine?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so that's a good one. Another one I know that we're seeing more and more of is group or cohort based specialty training. So that's something that certainly I think people like to do things together. And so what are you seeing there?
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. And when we think about group and specialty training, and it is around specialty, and it's giving us the opportunity to really design and tailor very specific programs that groups of individual want to participate in together. And so it provides a fun environment. It's definitely very accountable. It's keeping people in touch with each other and making sure that they're able to do this in a group setting. I've seen it some even within corporations with team building, and it may not be a super extensive or high intensity type of a class, but it is something that people can do together, have fun, have that accountability, but they're doing it with people that have the same interest and mindset.
Yeah. And it's building that community that you talked about even from your old days in the Y.
Yeah.
But I think, speaking of community, another trend that we're really seeing take everything by storm is recreational sports, right? So
Sure.
I know even within health fitness, the number of positions we've added this year across our company of the recreational coordinator position is impressive because clients are recognizing that that's a way that they're bringing people together, keeping them active, of course, and especially when they've been so remote with hybrid work and they're not in the office
Right.
quite as much, building those bridges. But what else are you seeing? What types of recreation is really rising out there?
And I think it's also, I agree, it's recreation, but it can be a lot of different items. It doesn't have to
Yeah,
be the traditional
sports.
basketball,
Right.
volleyball, sports type of items. We're seeing a lot of interest around different types of classes. Maybe there's cooking classes, maybe there's some
Hmm.
painting classes, and it may fall within that recreational umbrella. But definitely when we think of racket sports, pickleball, we all know pickleball has really taken off.
Yeah,
But there's a lot of good opportunities here to be able to provide programs, and I'm seeing some clients as well that are pulling in the family members. So it's
yeah,
not just the employees and maybe the employees and their dependent or their partner, but they're
right.
allowing the dependents to come in. And again, it's building that community, building that social component, and it adds a whole lot of fun factor to all this within the workplace.
Yeah. And sneakily, it's getting people to start younger, right? So they're getting
Yeah.
more active and we love that. So another trend that I know of is, well, I don't know if it's a trend, but I think the trend is here to stay, and that's support of mental health initiatives. I know, especially when we
Yeah.
know that physical activity has such a profound impact on mental health, but I know clients that we see out there and just programs overall really focused on how they focus on mental health and the resources they're providing. What are you seeing in that space?
Yeah, and I really see with mental health, it's a couple of different phases. One is helping employees being able to identify, a recognition and awareness of mental health. So it may be mental health
Hmm.
first aid trainings, it may
Oh
be
yeah,
different seminars, but then it is that support component. So there's different tools, there's different resources, maybe there's some coaching, maybe there's some individuals, some group settings that
yeah,
people can work through to really identify that mental health piece. And again, I've seen some clients that are working even more with the youth. We know that this younger generation, they are known as the most anxious generation. And so this is
true.
something that companies are identifying of how can they better provide tools for their employees to help them.
Yeah. And I love that that's the conversation now. It's not, should we even do it? It's how are we going to do it? Right.
How
So
right.
that's fantastic. And then the last area I think we'll talk about today is about weight loss medications, those GLP-1s. I
Yeah.
want to read you a stat, Tim. I need to use my
Okay.
glasses here. All
Yeah.
right. Within the next 5 years, it's estimated 30 million Americans will be taking weight loss medications to the market for
Sure.
GLP-1 medications, and that will exceed $100 billion.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, it's no small beans. What are you seeing in that space as far as the weight loss medications and support around those? Are I like it's newer, but it's
Yeah.
big.
Yeah, it's newer, and it's something that's really, I think, emerging. Clients and companies, organizations, they recognize the need that's there. And I think that they're looking at it just like any other offering within their benefits offering or what they provide for their employees, in that, there's an opportunity here to be able to
Right.
help their employees. And so rather than just giving someone what this item may be, and in this instance, it's a medication, really
Hmm.
providing that support and providing that education, and specific to GLPs and the weight loss, it's around behavior change and
Yeah.
making sure that these are lifestyle
Yeah.
considerations that individuals are thinking through, because it's not just one day or a week or a month. It truly is a lifestyle. And so clients are looking for support. Maybe it's from personal trainers, maybe it's from
Yeah.
registered dietitians, maybe it's from general health coaches, to be able to provide that support back for their employees so that they can have a true lifestyle change as they move forward.
Right. And it's such a fascinating topic. And I will tell you, we could probably talk another half hour, hours about it, truthfully. But spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about that on this podcast in a coming episode. So more to come.
Great.
Well, listen, I think we're really actually just about out of time. So I want to thank you, Tim, for joining me on this look back and look forward
Thanks.
today. But I also want to thank our listeners. So thank you so much for sticking with us on this very first episode. I hope you found this discussion to be insightful, entertaining, maybe even a little informational. So thank you so much for your time today. But before we get there, one of the things I wanted to say, Tim, was I know you take care of people and the clients and the company, the participants that are in under your watch, really, with the programs you help support. But I want to know how you take care of you. So I have a quickie
Oh,
quiz for you.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right.
So I want to
Pop
find
quiz.
out what is your favorite way to exercise or be active?
Okay, yeah. My favorite exercise way to be active is to get outside. I want to be outside. Ideally, it's on a hiking trail.
Okay.
It may be kayaking or something like that, but I want to be outside. I like to be out in nature, but I do like to get that heart rate up. Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. What's your favorite healthy snack?
Healthy snack. Oh, you got to go with peanut butter toast on whole wheat. I mean, that's the solid,
Tried
Now,
and
if I'm
true.
out camping or if I don't have access to it, I'll eat a Kind bar here and there. But yeah, I think peanut butter toast on whole wheat's the best.
Got it. And my last question is, what is your favorite way to recover?
Favorite way to recover? It kind of goes in what my favorite way to work out is, and that's to be outside. But again, something that just brings my heart rate down that I can relax. But then also spending time with people, being with my family, being with my church, things like that, that community, that social piece of it, that really recharges me as well.
Excellent. Well, Tim, thank you so much for joining me today. And again, thank you to our listeners. We hope that you enjoyed today. And if you did, please make sure you subscribe and share with your colleagues. But until next time, take good care and stay active.